Hello everyone. Welcome to the day 7, and it's our last day right now. We just can't believe we started from day 1 and it's already day 7. So, again, welcome back to the grand finale of AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week 2026. It's now time for the most awaited session of our event. We are truly honored to welcome Gunnar Groscher, an AWS Serverless Hero and former AWS employee, and currently he's an advocate at Sinch as our grand final keynote speaker. Sir has inspired thousands of developers around the world through his work in serverless technologies, developer advocacy, and community building. Today, he will be sharing his keynote, The Engineering Mindset in the Age of AI, where we will explore how engineering can continue to learn, adapt, and build meaningful solutions in this rapidly evolving era. Now, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and honored to be the one to close out this amazing week that you've had. So, what happens when writing code becomes the easiest part of development? Because that is the world we are stepping into now. Generative AI is changing how we build software, and it's changing that faster than any tool before it. And when something moves this fast, there's always going to be hype and there's always going to be fear. My goal here today with this session is to try to cut through both of them. I want to focus on what I think really matters. Because here's the paradox with all of this. If code is cheap, well, then engineering is priceless. The engineering principles that we have relied on for decades now, specs, design, testing, reliability, they're not going to disappear because of AI. I think they become more important than ever before. So my name is Gunnar Grosch. I am now a developer advocate working at Sinch, and I'm also an AWS Serverless Hero. And I've been doing this development thing for far longer than I almost dare to admit. I think for the past 5-6 years, I've said that I've been in this field for 20 years. So kind of time to admit that it's 25 plus years by now. But along the way, I've seen a lot of tools come and go. And I can tell you this, that AI is the biggest shift ever. But just like with every shift before it, the tools might change, but our jobs as engineers, as developers, is to decide what we want to do with these tools. So just to show you how far we've come, a while back, my friend and former colleague, Sebastian, he asked one of these AI tools to build a simple Pac-Man game for iOS. Just one single prompt. In a few minutes, it generated a complete project for him. That was playable. The character could move around, and it even had some of that game logic in place. But here's the catch. Collisions didn't work properly. Pac-Man, well, he only drew correctly when moving in one of the directions. And I think he said that it took 8 follow-up prompts or something just to fix the basics. So if I asked you all here who's used something like Copilot, ChatGPT, or Claude to build something small, like a game or an app, I think many of you would probably say that you have. But then the question is, how many would keep that exact same code and dare to put it into production without rewriting it? That's going to be far fewer people. And I've asked this question to a lot of people throughout these past couple of years. And the answer is always the same. You don't really trust everything that comes out of AI. And to me, this is vibe coding in action. It is fun, it is fast, and it gets you from 0 to 1. But usually it doesn't scale, and in many cases, it doesn't hold up in production. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think that all of this is just incredibles. 10 years ago, this project would have taken Sebastian hours of setup and debugging. But I think that's the lesson, that AI made code easy, but the engineering side, making it correct, making it reliable, that's where the real work still happens. And that is the theme I want you to keep in mind today. So this is where it all began for me. This is a Commodore 64 base, and it's using BASIC. So every single line of code had a number. So if you wanted to create a loop, you would write 10, print hello, and then on the next line you wrote 20, go to 10. That was my hello world. I used to spend hours typing programs from computer magazines, and I know I'm a bit older than you. Magazines, they are these things made out of paper with things written on it. And back then, you could actually get code in computer magazines. So imagine 300 lines of code or 500 lines of code printed on that paper. And then I had to sit there and type it one by one. If you made one single mistake, say on line 120, well, then nothing worked. Finding that mistake, you had to do the same thing. Go through it line by line, by eye, until you spotted the mistake. There wasn't any autocomplete with Commodore 64 BASIC. There is no syntax highlighting. There aren't any compiler warnings. It was just me, that blinking cursor, and a lot of patience. But to me, that was also my first lesson as a developer. The computer is going to do exactly what you tell it to do and nothing more. And today, AI, of course, it feels like magic in comparison to this. But at the core, I don't think our job has changed. It's still about translating that human intent, what we wanted to do, into something that the machine can run. All right, fast forwarding to the 90s, and I discovered my first real IDE, Hotdog. Yeah, it was really called Hotdog, the web editor. The logo had a hot dog with mustard on it, and you had the dog. But only the 90s could someone ship software that looked like this. But it was built for building websites. And for me, it was a revolution. All of a sudden, I had syntax highlighting. I could actually drag and drop snippets. And there was even a what you see is what you get type editor. So compare this to the Commodore with BASIC, it really felt like the future. Of course, all of the sites we built back then, they were full of these blinking tags and flashing GIFs, and all of it probably looked terrible. But for the first time, to me, it was a tool that was helping me write code. It wasn't just me doing all the heavy lifting anymore. And then the late 90s, early 2000s, they really were a turning point. Microsoft released Visual Studio 97, where they were unifying a lot of these scattered development tools that they had into one single IDE. And for the first time, you could write C++, Visual Basic, and even their version of Java in the same environment. But I think the real revolution came in, I think it was 2001, when IBM, they donated a bunch of money. I think $40 million worth of their WebSphere studio code to create what's called Eclipse. Suddenly, we had a free open source IDE that could compete with anything that Microsoft had built. So this wasn't just about better tools. It was about a new philosophy. These IDEs, they had integrated debugging. There was some simple project management, and you even had version control. You could refactor code across entire code bases with just a few clicks. So for the first time, I think the IDE kind of understood the code, not just that it was files. And then the 2010s, it brought the IDE wars. So JetBrains by then was eating Eclipse's lunch with IntelliJ IDE. It had smarter autocomplete, it had better refactoring, just a more polished experience for developers. GitHub launched Atom in 2014, promising, I think they called it a hackable text editor for the 21st century. And then in 2015, Microsoft came back and surprised everyone with VS Code. It was free, it was fast, and it was built on web technologies. It kind of seemed impossible at the time. How could a Microsoft product be lighter than Atom and more extensible than something like Sublime Text? But VS Code nailed something that the others missed. It was an editor that felt like an IDE when you needed it, but it kind of stayed out of your way when you didn't. So you could focus on the code. By 2020, it kind of had won. Not through features, but through balance. And then came that giant leap, AI Assistant. At first, I think it looked kind of like autocomplete, but on steroids. But soon tools like Copilot and Q Developer, they weren't just filling in code, they were explaining code to us. They were writing tests and even suggesting architectural improvements. I remember one of the first times I asked one of these tools to refactor a messy piece of code. And in just seconds, it not only cleaned it up, but it also explained why it did what it did. And to me, that was kind of one of the moments where I realized that these tools and AI isn't just about typing faster. It's about finding a way to collaborate with an AI that can help reason about my code. So that's my personal journey, a quick look at it, from the line numbers in C64 Basic to Hotdog to modern IDEs and now AI assistants. And of course, I don't think my story is unique in any way. It mirrors the bigger history of developer tools. We've always moved forward in waves: manual coding, then IDEs, and now AI-assisted coding. And each wave, it didn't make developers less important. I think it made us more productive, but it also demanded new skills. And I think that's exactly the same wave that we're riding again today. If that first slide shows the long arc of developer tools, this one shows just how fast AI is moving. In 2023, most of what we had was autocomplete. It was smarter autocomplete than ever before, but it was still about predicting that next word. By 2024, we had the AI assistants, and they arrived. Tools that could generate entire functions for us. It could write tests, it could explain code. That's a huge step up from just autocomplete. And by 2025, we're already seeing the rise of agents. And these agents, they don't just complete snippets. Instead, they're able to plan, they're able to execute tasks and do it end to end. Still with us, they're guiding them in that loop. And now in 2026, we're witnessing these agentic systems, kind of network of specialized agents that coordinate autonomously, handling complex multi-step workflows. And they do it with minimal human oversight. Just looking at this arc, that's an entire decade's worth of progress packed into just these 3.5, 4 years. So going back to Pac-Man that I showed you earlier, that was pure vibe coding from Sebastian. He gave the AI the vibe of what he wanted: make me Pac-Man for iOS. And in just a few minutes, it generated that working version. Like I said, it wasn't complete. Collisions didn't work. The graphic only worked correctly in one direction, and he had to keep prompting it to fix that basic. But it was fast, it was fun, but it wasn't reliable. That's what vibe coding is all about. It's intuition driven. Natural language prompts, rapid prototyping, it is great from getting from 0 to 1, from nothing to something. But taking that something and turning it into a production system, a product that can handle scale, that can be reliable, that can be secure, and then later on be maintained, that is engineering. Engineering means specifications, designs, testing, verification. It's not about chasing vibes. It's about building systems that are able to survive contact with the real world. So yeah, vibe coding is magical. It is. But if we stop there, we're just playing with demos. Engineering is what makes software real. It's engineering that turns demos into durable, trustworthy systems. Now, why does engineering matter so much then if AI can just generate code for us? Well, because good software isn't just about code that runs, it's about code that runs well. Think back to Pac-Man. AI created the code, but it wasn't correct. It didn't work exactly as it's supposed to. Now, engineering is what ensures correctness, that the system behaves as expected, not just as compiled. And engineering is what makes it efficient, that it's using resources wisely and that it scales as users grow. And engineering is what makes it secure, that a system can withstand attacks, that it can protect data, and that it can build trust. And engineering is also what makes a system maintainable, so that the next developer can read it, they can improve it, and they can keep it alive years from now. I'm sure many of you have looked at code generated by AI and seen that sometimes it is a mess. So try to maintain that. So AI can generate endless code, but without these engineering principles, correctness, efficiency, security, and maintainability, it is just noise. Engineering turns it into value. And this is where I think our roles as developers, as engineers, is changing. We need to have sharper critical thinking, and we need to have verification skills, because AI can produce answers that sound super confident, but are completely wrong. You can ask it things, it's going to give you an answer, but it can be completely wrong with that answer. So we need to get good at reading and debugging the code that AI generates, which to me is quite different from debugging something that I've written myself. We didn't write it, so we have to approach it more like maybe investigators. We have to test the logic of it carefully. And we need to move beyond the prompt engineering tricks and focus on prompt specification, being clear and very structured in our intent. It's almost like writing requirements, like we have for many years. And we need to take responsibility for ethics and system design, because AI honestly doesn't understand fairness, security, or consequences. That is going to be on us. So these aren't just new skills, they're kind of the core of what will define developers in the AI age. So generative AI assistants, they are familiar. They autocomplete, they explain code, they help us get unstuck. But this most recent step then that we're seeing, it is the agents, agentic AI. And these aren't just assistants. No, these are able to then reason about goals, they can plan the steps needed, and they can take actions on their own. And these agentic systems that I mentioned that we're starting to see now in 2026, where we have networks of agents that coordinate with each other, they share context and they execute complex workflows with very little human oversight. To me, this is more than just a productivity boost. It is really a fundamental shift in how software gets built and how it gets operated. We're moving from tools that help us type code faster to entire systems that can actually build and run pieces of software for us. And that evolution, it's happening right now. It isn't a distant future. And agents are powerful. They can do so much, but let's be honest, they're also quite messy. They hallucinate, they drift off task. Sometimes they're going to give you code that looks right, but it fails in practice. And that's where I think spec-driven development comes in. Instead of jumping straight to code, a new generation of these development frameworks is embracing a structured approach. And there are a bunch of different tools for this, like Kiro, for instance, OpenSpec, GitHub has their spec kit, and then there's another number of spec-driven frameworks. They all follow this similar pattern. When you ask them to build a feature, they don't just start spitting out code straight away. No, first, they create requirement documents with user stories, like we always have when we are doing development. Then they generate design documents describing the architecture of the system, also like we've done in the past. And then they produce task lists, the things that are needed to do to build this architecture and to fulfill the user stories. And only after that do they actually start generating the implementation of the systems. And all of these artifacts that they create, they're durable. So it's something that you can review, you can version, you can share them within your team. And these give your project structure. And they also help keep the AI anchored in what actually matters. So this spec-driven approach isn't just vibe coding with some sort of spec taped on top. No, I think this is engineering discipline. It's built into the workflow. And to me, this is one way that we can make agents reliable enough to put things into production. And this shift to agentic AI isn't just theory either. It's happening in terminals now everywhere. Tools like Claude Code, Kiro CLI, GitHub Copilot CLI, Gemini Code Assist, and a bunch of others, they represent a fundamental change in how we interact with AI. Instead of copying and pasting between a web interface and your code editor, like many did initially with ChatGPT, the AI works directly within your development environment. They're reading files, they're running tests, they're executing commands, and they're deploying code. But here's what's really interesting. These aren't just for developers anymore. I think we're seeing that product managers use them to prototype features, designers to generate and test UI components, and operations teams. They use these tools to automate infrastructure tasks or maybe to help find what an issue is. The terminal has yet again become this universal interface, and this time for agentic AI. And when you combine that direct environment access with the engineering principles that I've been talking about, specs, testing, verification, you get something very, very powerful. AI that doesn't just generate code, but actually ships working software. This isn't autocomplete anymore. This is AI that understands your entire development workflow, and it can execute it end to end. And building agents used to mean starting from scratch. Just a couple of years ago, if you wanted to create an agentic system, you were writing everything yourself. Build it yourself. The orchestration, the memory management, the tool integration. But today, we have frameworks that handle all of that complexity for us. LangChain with LangGraph gives you graph-based state machines for complex workflows. Crew AI lets you think in terms of roles and teams, just like how humans work together. Autogen excels at agents that collaborate through conversation, and AWS, of course, has Strands Agent SDK that focuses on production readiness with enterprise-grade development. The speed of this evolution is remarkable. You can now spin up a multi-agent system in under 50 lines of code, complete with error handling, observability, and deployment patterns built right in. But here's what's really exciting, though. I think these frameworks aren't just making development faster, they are making agent development accessible to teams that don't have deep AI expertise. The frameworks handle a lot of the hard parts. So developers, they can focus on what matters, solving real problems for real users. When we move beyond prototypes, then, the question isn't how do I write a better prompt? No, the real question becomes what's the architecture? The same question that we've been asking for years and years. When we build agentic systems that need to survive production, we don't rely on vibes or clever prompt tags. We build using protocols, could be MCP or agent-to-agent protocol, to define how these agents and tools communicate. We build in observability from the start. We should have structured logging, distributed tracing, and metrics, so we can see what the agent did and why it's made its decision. We enforce security and guardrails. We need to have authentication, authorization, least privilege access, just like always, because without those, agents aren't trustworthy. So prompts might give you a prototype, but architecture, just like we've always done, is what gets you a system that you then, in the end, can run in production. So let me take that one step further. Success with AI isn't about building the most sophisticated system. I think it's about building the right system for your need. You should start simple. You should use a single prompt with good context. You should optimize that with evolution. And you should only start reaching for agents and multi-step workflows when the simpler approach genuinely falls short. And when you do build agents, I think there is 3 principles that matter the most. First off, it's simplicity. The teams that succeed aren't the ones with the most complex architectures. Now, what we keep seeing is that they're the ones who resist unnecessary complexity. Secondly, transparency. You need to show the agent's planning steps. Make sure that its reasoning is visible. If you can't explain what the system is doing and why, you're never going to be able to trust it, and neither will your users. And third, invest in the interface between the agent and its tools. Make sure you have the documentation, the error handling, the design of how the agent interacts with the outside world. This is where most production issues actually live. Not in the model, but in the plumbing around it. And when we talk about AI in development, we usually hear 2 extremes. On one side, the hype. AI is going to code everything. Developers are done. And then on the other hand, we have the skepticism. This is all just fancy autocomplete. I said it myself a couple of times. But the truth, as always, it sits somewhere in that messy middle. AI is incredible at known patterns. If you ask it to generate a standard API integration, something that it's seen 1,000 times, or maybe a UI component, something in React that it's seen another 1,000 times, it's gonna do it faster, probably cleaner than many human developers that are racing against the deadline. But when requirements are ambiguous, when the problem is novel, when the architecture and trade-offs matter, and that's usually what things look like, well, AI is going to struggle. And I think this is exactly where our role as developers grow in importance, because bridging that gap, being able to translate that human intent into machine understandable specifications, so we're guiding AI where it's strong and compensating where it's weak, that's the engineering mindset. So yeah, AI is super powerful, but it doesn't eliminate the need for developers. It's amplifying the need for us to think like engineers. Now, there's a paradox that surprises a lot of people. Because if AI makes developers more productive, shouldn't we in reality then only need fewer developers? But no, actually history says the opposite. And this idea actually goes all the way back to the 1800s. William Gibbons observed that when the steam engine made coal use more efficient, people didn't burn less coal. Instead, people started burning more coal. Cheaper energy meant more factories, more railroads, more industry. Efficiency created demand. And back in the 1950s, when compilers started appearing, assembly programmers worried that they would now be out of a job. Instead, compilers opened the door to whole new industries and applications. And the demand for developers back then, it just skyrocketed. And when the cloud arrived, some predicted that that would be the end of sysadmins and operational engineers. But what happened? Well, cloud made building things easier and more accessible, which meant more projects, more companies, and more demand for engineers than ever before. And this is what's called the Jevons paradox. When something becomes more efficient, demand for it grows. AI makes building software faster and cheaper, which means that companies will build more software, not less. So I think the future isn't about fewer developers. It's about more developers doing more ambitious things. And I also think that the ones who will thrive, it will be those developers who embrace the engineering principles in the age of AI. So, if AI makes developers more productive, history tells us something counterintuitive. Demand doesn't shrink, it expands. The Jevons paradox. Compilers didn't kill programming jobs, they created more. The cloud didn't eliminate engineers, it multiplied them. And I think it's going to do the same. For decades, the question was always, can we build this? And a lot of the time, the answer to that question was no. But today, the answer to that question is almost always yes. We can build it, and we can build it fast. So I think the real question becomes, should we build it? And if we do, how well should we build it? I want to pause on each of these. Should we build it? To me, that's an ethical question. It is about responsibility, it's about impact, and it's about values. And how well should we build it? That's an engineering question. It's about resilience, it's about security, it's about scalability, and it's about trust. And these are the questions that will define us as developers in the age of AI. Not what we can build, but what we choose to build and how we choose to do it. To me, that is the engineering mindset. Not just getting code to run, but deciding what is worth building, how to design it responsibly, and how to make sure that it then stands the test of time. So this is where all of this comes together. Because AI has made building software easier than ever before. In some cases, it is honestly almost effortless to build something today. But easy isn't the same as right. Easy isn't the same as reliable. And easy definitely isn't the same as valuable. And that's our role. As developers, as engineers, we need to bring that intent, the structure, and the responsibility into the process. We make sure that systems are designed to scale. We make sure that they're secure and that they're ethical. We make sure that the system solve real problems for real people. AI is a powerful collaborator, but it isn't, and it's never going to replace the engineering mindset. It makes the engineering mindset more important than ever before. So I think the challenge that I want to leave you with is this. Don't just vibe code. Don't stop at demos. I want you to lead with engineering, because the future of software, and you're part of that future, isn't just about what AI can generate. It is what we choose to build with AI. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention and the honor to get to close out this amazing week that you've had. Hopefully this session gives you not just ideas, but also confidence. You as students in the age of AI, that developers aren't being replaced. We as developers are being upgraded with this new tool. Don't let this conversation end here, though. I want you to think about this, talk to others about this, because that is what the community is about. We're all better when we learn together. So let's go beyond vibe coding. Let's lead with engineering, and let's do it as a community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And guys, you can just go ahead now and you can ask the question that you are all wanted to ask.
All right. Let's see. Are there any questions? I guess you can put them in the in the chat.
Sir, you can check them from the comments.
Yep, I'm scrolling to see if we find any. We are all becoming the cocoons of AI. Not a question, but a comment. Compliment for my name. Thank you, Karan. How AI integrate with AWS and how does it work? Well, AI is obviously a huge part of everything AWS does today. And I guess there are two parts to it. One is that many developers, engineers today use AI tools to build things that they then deploy on AWS. So they run it on AWS. The other part is that AWS enables companies and engineers to build AI systems with services, tools like Amazon Bedrock and so on. You are able to build these agentic systems, everything from chatbots to other types of AI tools. Any other questions? It's a question. Everyone talks about current scenario. Is it really true? Can you expand on that question, maybe? How does developer advocate differ from DevRel? So developer relations is the bigger practice of the field. A developer advocate is a role within developer relations. So I'm a developer advocate and I'm part of developer relations. How has AI changed the skills that every software engineer should learn today? I think kind of like I alluded to towards the end, that I think the most successful engineers in the coming years will be the ones who are able to use these AI tools like Claude Code, tools like Copilot, like Hero, and so on, to use them to their advantage. So you still need to have full understanding of engineering and learning the field, but being able to use these tools makes me a lot more efficient in a lot of the things I do. So being able to use these AI tools, coding assistants, and so on, I think those are the developers who are going to be successful going forward. So it's a matter of keeping up with everything that's happening. This field is moving so extremely quickly, like I showed with the timeline earlier. Question about layoffs and I guess fear. And I think it is there are a lot of layoffs happening. I think a lot of companies are using AI as an excuse, to be very honest. It's not always about AI, the layoffs that are happening at the moment, but it's an easy one to show value to shareholders, to blame it on AI. There are ups and downs in this industry. There always has been. As someone who's been in it for many, many years now, I've seen these ups and downs. I think the industry will bounce back. We've already seen signs of that happening. So don't fear, I guess, is my advice. With AI growing so quickly, what cloud security skills should students learn first to prepare for future careers? When it comes to security, I think the the skills that are needed are still the same as always. We still need to have people who have full understanding of security, like we always had. But now it's a matter of having a better understanding of how AI is affecting security, which is, I suppose, an add-on to the general security knowledge. We definitely seen a lot of horror stories of AI-generated code and systems that are creating security issues. So having an understanding of general security is going to help you when it comes to this. How does Bedrock work? So Amazon Bedrock is it's a service from AWS that allows you to use these large language models, and you can use models from different providers. A lot of it is obviously using Claude with Anthropic's models, but you can now also use OpenAI models. Amazon has their own, and a bunch of other ones as well. So you have a managed service that you can then use, and through APIs query these large language models. So it's an easier way to build agentic systems, AI systems, and once again, could be anything from simple chatbots to more complex systems. But Amazon Bedrock allows you to use these large language models in a fully managed way. How should we validate AI-generated code before deploying it to production? That goes back to what I talked about before. I think being able to read and understand code that AI generates is, in a way, different from reviewing, debugging the code that you've written yourself, because it's probably not following exactly the same patterns, and it's doing it in a different way. The issue with the sheer amount of code that AI is able to generate is, of course, that it is hard to keep up with reviews if you are using pull requests, for instance, to have people being able to review them. But you still need to review it in the same way. There are obviously AI tools you can use to help with reviews, but you still need to make sure to have that human in the loop, as of now, I would say. With AI becoming a part of every application, how do you see serverless evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? And what should beginners start learning today to stay future ready? So I think serverless, I think the biggest change we see with serverless is perhaps not in serverless in itself. It's rather than that more and more services are adopting a serverless way of working. And billing as well, meaning that more and more services are now pay per use. You're able to then use different types of services in a serverless way. AI and serverless goes very well hand in hand just because of that, because of the nature of how they work. Depending on what you're doing, you can build a lot of different agentic AI systems with pure serverless architectures. And that still requires you to understand how serverless work, how it works, how you build using the same patterns as we have in the past. So having an understanding of the serverless, I suppose, core patterns is still going to be useful for you as a developer. Let's see. What projects would you recommend students build to demonstrate cloud and AI skills? Well, I think at the moment, being able to build any type of agentic system is a very good start. Being able to show that you are able to leverage AI both for building but also inside of your applications. So if that means, sure, you can build a chatbot, for instance, which is an easy example, but there are thousands of blueprints or samples of that right now. So try to come up with something that's more novel, something that's a bit different, but still leveraging these same technologies, so that you're using AI, if you're building on AWS, for instance, that you are using Bedrock. I think being able to show, first off, that you're able to build it, but also that you are, I guess, a bit creative, doing something that not everyone else has done. I think that's usually what stands out. Let's see. Just build it, ship something meaningful, I would say. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah, someone wrote that they talked to community builder or talked to community builders. It's about learning trends like AI. And I agree. Trying to keep up now with the things that are happening. I think that's super important because it's moving so rapidly. Will there be AWS automation as well, like AI automation, AWS tasks? So there are few new services or relatively new services from AWS released that are making use of AI for things that previously were perhaps more manual tasks. So, for instance, there's the DevOps agent, there's the security agent. So taking some of these tasks and putting AI on top of it, I think it is useful. Some of these tools can obviously help companies. I don't think it's those in themselves are going to fully replace the manual work that still needs to be done, but it can help with certain tasks. If you're starting your career today, what would your learning roadmap look like? Yeah, like I said before, I think having understanding of traditional engineering, having understanding of the type of things you learn as a CS student, that is still going to be key. Having that engineering mindset, to have that, you need to understand the basics. So while doing that, I would at the same time start building. My way of learning has always been hands-on. So being able to actually start building things and testing things out, using services and so on, and take every chance to do that. Join workshops, join events, go to community events and so on, so that you are learning things while, well, practically hands-on things while you're also studying the fundamentals. I think that would be my approach. And the AWS skills to learn today, it's the same there. I don't think that in itself has changed. It's the AWS fundamental skills there as well. So learning from bottom up with AWS, the core services, learning to understand IAM, understand how pieces fit together. And then eventually it's a matter of then choosing your path. But even though, for instance, for me, I'm an AWS Serverless Hero, it doesn't mean that it's always serverless. I still need to learn a lot of stuff that are outside of that. And I've been doing that all throughout my career as well. So even though you might have a specialty field, the more things you know, the better, of course. Let's see. Any other questions?
Seems like there are no more questions.
No. Maybe I can just tell a quick story. Maybe it can inspire someone. So I am where I am today a lot because of the technical community. So I've spent many years all throughout my career being part of different technical communities, and that is what led me to where I am today as well. So that means joining different technical events, meetups, conferences, and so on to meet other people, to learn from other people, and that is how I've been able to grow as the person I am. I got involved in the AWS community by showing up at events, starting to go to events. Eventually, I became an organizer of AWS user groups here in the Nordics. I became an AWS hero, and then eventually also got hired by AWS. All of it thanks to me being a part of that AWS community. None of that would have happened otherwise. And now, when I'm on the outside again, I'm in the role I'm in today because of the same things, because of all the time I've put in learning from others and sharing knowledge and so on. So show up, go to events, meet others, share your knowledge. If you don't feel like meeting people in person, well, join virtual events like these ones. Write blog posts, read other people's blog posts, comment. It's all about learning in different ways. So make use of that community. What you say for the technical consultant. So being a consultant, I guess a lot depends on what field you're in. If you're I guess more of a generalist, so you are doing all types of different work for other companies, I don't think it's really different. It's about still keeping up with everything that's happening right now and start leveraging AI to your advantage as well. I think as a consultant, you can make use of AI to kind of become more productive. So if you're doing work for clients, you can use AI as a way to help you become more productive. But if you are more of a specialist focusing on specific areas, then I guess the answer depends on what that area is. What's the fastest way to complete learning AWS? So I've used AWS for more years than I will I don't even know. I worked for AWS for many years. I don't know everything about AWS, so I don't think you should set a goal to know all of it. Yes, there's 250 services. You don't need to know all 250 services. So I think the thing is that you should learn the fundamentals, and then you can start specializing on specific things. It's impossible to keep up with everything. You don't need to know everything either. But the fastest way for me has always been, like I said, hands-on. So start doing tutorials, start doing workshops, and things where you are actually able to use the services. That to me has always been the fastest way to learn anything, and especially things like AWS. All right. I think it's time to wrap up.
Thank you so much, sir. And I had actually a similar journey like you. Like I am part of communities for like last 5 years, and I am telling the same thing to my communities and everyone else, that if you join community, you are going to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
And today, what is happening is because of the community itself.
Exactly. No, I think it's such a valuable way, and then if you're able to give something back to the community as well, that's just amazing, because that's what the community thrives from and grows from, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but if you're able to share knowledge at an event or at a blog post or just a post on LinkedIn, that's helpful.
Okay, again, so thank you so much, sir, for such an inspiring sessions. And I believe now most of you will be not afraid of AI, but you will start learning the things from the scratch, and you will upskill your skills. Now, while AI is transforming the way we build software, one thing remains constant: security is foundation of every successful cloud application. So, after sir, the next session is about that. So we now learned about AI. Now it's time to learn about the security.
All right, yeah, that's great. All
And
right.
once again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, and just let me know if you want me to come back.
Sure, sir. We would love to.
All right. Thank you all very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, now it's time to invite our next speaker. Please welcome Shobhit Verma, aka the Jugaad SRE. He is a SRE and developer advocate who will be taking us through today's technical session on cloud security and AWS IAM, identity and access management. In this session, we will learn how to protect AWS resources, manage identities and permission effectively, and understand the security best practices that every cloud engineer should know. Now, please join me in welcoming Shobhit Verma, aka the Jugaad SRE. Now, handing over session to you, Shobhit bhai. Your mic is mute.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hadik, am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
we
you can.
can.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for handing it over. I'm sure you would have had great session with Gunnar, and it's almost 10 p.m., so I wouldn't take a lot of time for you guys on a Saturday night. And some of you might already be planning to leave, so I would request you to wait for a few more minutes before I quickly wrap up this session and give you all time back. So, hello, my name is Shobhit, and I am working in IT for almost last 15 years. Um, I have started making content, technical content, for almost 1.5 years. And I'll give you more about myself. Let me quickly share the screen and show you what am I gonna talk today. Okay. So cloud security. I hope my screen is visible to you guys. I'm also watching myself live on YouTube on a second screen. So, on a third screen, basically, I have two screens right in front of me, and a third screen as well, because just wanted to see if everything is fine and the screen share doesn't have any problem. So, okay, cloud security and AWS IAM. So, today I'm going to be talking about this particular topic, and I assume almost, in fact most of you would already have some idea what exactly is security, what exactly is AWS IAM. But I would still go ahead and give you relevant examples which will help you understand what exactly is all this and why do we need to care about this so much. Okay, so uh, I'm not sure if I can have a show of hands, but I would like to see how many of you here still like to share your password with your family members, friends, hostel mates, roommates. Okay, okay, I get it. It's all of us, literally all of us. We like to share our things because why not? If we are able to save some amount of money, why not? Because when I was in college, we would be like, uh, I'll get this recharge done, you get that recharge done, and so that we can share it with all of the people around, all around us. Okay. So let's assume, what is this AWS IAM? What is this security that we are going to be talking about? So AWS, understand it as a society. When I say society, that means of a boundary wall under which there are a lot of apartments, lot of buildings, and people are staying in that particular apartment, right? So assume the builder of that particular society gives you boundary walls, main gate, a guard, a CCTV in the lobby. So all these things are assumed being provided by the security guard. Consider it as AWS provided services. But rest of the things, like you are the house owner, so you need to take care about your own door, that should be properly closed while you are going to sleep or you are going out of your home. The lockers, everything is in place, so this needs to be taken care by you. So when this kind of system works in a way, that is generally assumed as a shared business model. So shared responsibility model. So you rent a flat in a gated society, and both the society as well as the flat owner is responsible to make sure the security is intact, because you cannot claim that since there was a guard at the downstairs and that guard is going to take care if you open the door at night and go and sleep. So that won't work. You have to be careful. Both of the people have to be careful. And that's how exactly the first and foremost topic that we are going to talk about today is the shared business model. If you can see right now on the screen, this is what I intend to talk about today: the shared responsibility, IAM core concepts, MFAs and least privileges. We'll talk about the real breaches that has happened, some of the biggest breaches in the history of AWS as well as other organizations. We'll talk about IAM police, and then we'll try to wrap it up. So as I gave you the example of shared responsibility model, so obviously both the society as well as the flat owner is responsible to make sure that the security is well intact into your business model, into your society. Now, consider this and try and relate it with your AWS services. So as I talked about, builder giving boundary wall, builder giving you CCTVs, builder giving you guards. So those can be correlated with AWS security of the cloud, as the physical data centers, power, cooling systems, the hardware, the global network backbone. So all these things are provided by AWS and also taken care by AWS. And this is the flat owner, that is you and me, or the user, who needs to take care of the accesses. What do we mean by access? Like, you are trying to open a AWS account, so you need to be careful about your own account as well as the other accounts if you are managing. So you need to take care about IAM, how is data configured in there, if the policies or the roles that you have configured, those are fine and everything is well in locked state. So on a high level, if you understand, shared business model works in this way: both, everybody is responsible and not just you. And this is one of the major simplest questions that is asked in the interviews. Talk about the shared business model or shared responsibility model, and that's what you're going to be doing. So the cloud is secure. What you build on the cloud is your problem. That's something that you need to remember and always take care. Moving on. And just if you have to understand what is IAM, consider IAM as the security guard inside your AWS account. And IAM is the place where all the services, all the users, all the people, all the policies, everything starts getting implemented from. So if a society has a guard who takes care of who is coming, who is going, similarly, IAM takes care of everything in a AWS account. So we might think that this is one of the simplest of the AWS services, but this is the most and the unique services that we should be worried and care about. Okay, moving on. So this is all about AWS IAM. What are the different features or what are the different components of AWS IAM? And these are users, user groups, roles, and policies. Now, you might have used some different tool as well apart from AWS, and there also the similar concept works. It's not just related to AWS, that the roles, privileges, users, groups, policies, these are not just limited to any AWS account. I remember when back in 2010 or 11 I had started my career, I was working on a similar tool, but then it was not cloud tool. It was something related to PLM, product lifecycle management, and inside that as well there was a concept of roles, users, user groups, roles, privileges, and other things. Now I was able to, after a lot of years, relate, okay, the concept is very similar. It's just that the tool may differ, but the concept is almost very similar. So we'll talk about what exactly each of this does in a while. Before that, I would also go back to the chat and see if any of you have any questions till now, and I'm happy to answer that meanwhile. Okay, not a problem. Just post your queries, and I'll take your questions in between or after the session. Okay. Now, what is user group? And I will not just talk about all these things. Let me show you as well on AWS console. So if you want to practice, some of you may already have practiced, but if you want to practice, we'll do that as well. Let's just uh, start with the some practice sessions as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my AWS account simultaneously. If you want, you can also do. And before that, let me also just talk about this root user. Okay. So what exactly is the root user? So root user is a specific kind of user which has access to everything. It has all the roles, all the privileges of an AWS account. So when you create your account for the very first time, you will probably have all the root accesses, and you can assign anything to anybody. So I have the root access, root user configured at my end. Let me just try and log in. I need to have the MFAs enabled. So we'll also talk about this MFA code. What exactly is this MFA? Let me just enter it. Okay. So now you can see I'm logged in to my AWS root account. How would you know this is a root account? You can go to this drop down, and from here you can go to your accounts. That way also you'll get to see what account is this. So go to your search and search for IAM, identity and access management. And if you want to create a new user, let's click on this IAM users. I have created a couple of users, but let me just do it right in front of you. I'll go to this create user. Let's just name it the Jugaad SRE. and provide user access to the AWS management console. It is optional, but I want to give him the management console option. Auto generated password. No, I want to give a custom password. No, don't show the password to anybody. So that is, if I click on this one, you will be able to see my password. But basically, since we are talking about security, this is one of the most important features that you don't talk or show or don't even mention anything about your password. A user must create a new password at sign in. Do I want to do this? Let's just have it for now. Next. Now, the next set of thing it is asking is add user to a group. Do I want to add it to a group? Not right now. Copy permission, attach policies directly. Let's do this. I haven't talked about policy yet, so you may not be knowing what I'm doing right now, but let me just give you an example. So let's type EC2, and I want to give this person access to all of the EC2 instance. So Amazon EC2 full access, I'm giving this person. Okay. And let me just also give the S3 access to this person, Amazon S3 full access. So I'm giving the full access to these two policies, and I'm doing next. You can see this person, even though I've given two accesses, this has three access because I clicked on the checkbox which says I am user change password. So this person also has the access to change password. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Let's just create the new user. So user created successfully. It says you can go into the console and copy this. So let me just copy this and open the incognito mode and see if I'm able to log into this one. Why I opened the incognito mode? Because I already have opened in my previous browser. So you can open it in a different browser as well or in the incognito mode. Now we'll see what are the different accesses this user has. We will copy this 12-digit account number and see if we are able to log in or not. So the window is taking time. I don't know why. Okay, meanwhile it is opening. Let me just talk about user groups. What exactly is user group? So suppose you have, I'll probably show you some pictures. So let's just find a user. So this user wants to access this system. Okay, this user wants to access this AWS system. Let's assume this is AWS system. Okay, so this user is now accessing this system and he has some kind of as I added EC2 role, right? this person was this person got the EC2 role. Now, I suppose there are more than five new freshers or five new team members have joined the company. So there's a way by which I don't have to do the same task five times, right? I don't have to individually the thing that I did. I went into the I created a new user and I went into the policies and I added all the EC2 accesses. So if suppose five people have joined the company, you can do five times. But what if 500 people has joined the company? You will not go ahead and do the math of doing it 500 times over and over again. So what I'll do, probably I'll create a user group and I will assign the policy directly here inside this user group. I will directly assign the policy. Okay, where's the arrow? So this user group, I will directly assign a policy. And what do I mean by policy? We'll again talk about that. So first of all, you understood what is user. Then we talked about user group. So we created a user group. The group will be assigned certain policy. What is policy? Policy is like set of rules in the system. Just now we saw that the EC2 all accesses policy was assigned to a user, Jugaad SRE. So what is that policy says? That says that this person should have access to the EC2 or to make any kind of changes to EC2. So now this person will go to EC2 and start seeing everything there. Let's see if our thing has opened. Okay, so this has opened. What was the username? It was the Jugaad SRE. Okay. And this is, I think the password was. Okay, so now we gave access of EC2 S3 and password change. So this will first of all ask me to change the password because I had created an account and clicked on the checkbox. See, you can see on the screen, this is now prompting me to change the password as soon as I log in. So I need to enter the password that I entered and now again enter a new one. And it gives me that both the things that I have mentioned, it's matches. So the password is successfully resetted. If you may select it not to reset for the first time, but I just wanted to show you that how the policy works. So now you will only be able to see EC2 and S3 related services on this dashboard or via this account. You are still able to see a lot of reds here because you don't have access to many of the services. Like if I click on the drop down, I want to see the billing and cost maintenance. If I go here, I will probably not be able to see anything here because I don't have access. Now again, I'll go back to the root account and show you that the root account had all the things available. Now you see here, right? This is the Jugaad SRE account that I created. Now go back to the other account that we had. This is the root account. Let's click on the billing and cost maintenance. Yeah, okay to leave. So here it is showing me that, yeah, I can see that what is the monthly cost and all because root access has every sort of access and everything can be seen from here. Now coming back to the user that we created, let's search for EC2. So since we gave them all accesses for EC2, you should be able to read, write, create anything. So yeah, you can see here, everything is red. So I can go to instance and start creating or start launching a new instance from here. There should not be a problem because this user has got the access. I'm not gonna do that because this is not exactly part of the security feature. But yeah, just wanted to show that how it differs from the person who has got the policy access and the person who doesn't. Now, if I go here and I want to search for RDS, creation of any database, let's see if you have access to this or not. I hope it's making things clear. So you'll be able to see that a lot of things are available, but you'll not be able to create a new new database because we have not assigned the creation policy of a database to this particular user. Okay. So that's how the user and user groups work. Now, here we were talking about user groups. When does a user group comes into picture? As I told you, suppose you have a developer team or a tester team, or you have SREs, DevOps, there are different teams, right? You want to assign different teams with different sort of roles that those teams performs, right? So then that comes into picture that, okay, this team needs access to EC2, so please let's assign EC2 to this group. There's a separate group with users. Those should have different access. So let's assign them with different policies. So all those things works there. Okay, moving on. Where's my presentation? Okay, now now comes the roles and policies. So we talked about policies. We will now talk about a role as well. So what exactly is a role? So consider, going back to the example that I started with of residential society. So what was user? Just like your name on the society register, in AWS, every person or application that needs to get access to their own IAM user, to their own identity, to have their own login, we have the user. And nobody shares their own generic login or the password with anybody, just like you would not share the keys to your homes. Now, coming back to user groups, consider user groups as a wing of a society, wherein wing A has like 10 floors and there are four people in each floor. So 40 people are staying in one wing. Similarly, wing can be analogous to user groups, wherein user groups have multiple users inside them. Now comes the third one, roles. Now consider a role as a temporary visitor badge. Now, what exactly is a visitor badge? Again, coming back to this particular example, suppose you want to have a plumber coming to your own home for some issue that you have encountered. Maybe a tap is broken or a pipe is leaking. So, what does a guard do? The guard doesn't hand him the permanent society keys. He gives them a temporary badge, right? It is valid for next 2 hours. You can only use the gate number 2. You will be escorted to this particular flat number. Once your work is done, your badge becomes null and void. It is invalid. So in AWS also, a role is exactly the same functionality. It has the temporary access. It usually expires within specific time, and it is typically handed to the application owners or the person who is doing that specific job. It is never a permanent identity. So you always, whenever you try to understand, keep it analogous to this society related example, and that ways your things and your concept will always be clear. Now, similar to this, what is policy? So policy is what is exactly written on the badge, that the plumber was given. So badge was the role, and what is written on that role is the policy. You can also understand policy as the rules. What are the rules that are written on the badge that needs to be followed by the guard or the plumber? So the rule says you can only use the elevator number 2. You can only go to the house and not use any of the pools or any of the staircases. That is not your work right now, and it is only valid from this time to this time. And that is what all the policy is all about. It follows a certain set of rules, and it's like a literally a document, and it is written in a JSON format, and it explicitly mentions what a person, a user groups, or any role that is assigned to the user can or cannot do. Okay, I hope this detailed explanation is clear to all of you guys. Again, I will move back if anybody has any questions on the chat. Okay, no problem. Let's move on. So IAM policies and roles, as I said, it's a set of JSON. So if you see on the screen, a root account user, we started with root account. We created a test user account, the Jugaad SRE, and we created an IAM account. And this example that you see right now here, it's just that I gave the EC2 as well as S3 related access to that Jugaad SRE user. Similarly, this JSON, it looks like this. So we did via UI, but you can also write a script using the JSON format. And similar to this format, you can also give the access to the that particular user. You can create a S3 bucket, add some files on the S3 bucket from the root user, and assign all the accesses just like how I did to that particular new user. And then you can log in through the test user and check and go and see in the S3 if you're able to see those files that were added via root account. So this is what we do. Generally, we allow the user to see all the files in the S3 bucket. Okay, now moving on. We have already discussed what is role. Um, yeah, we discussed about policy as well, like when exactly is the policy, what are the conditions of policy. Policy is a list of rules that needs to be followed, when, what action, what are the resource, what are the conditions. So all these things are basically made understood or made written on the JSON inside the policy, like we saw in the previous S3 related script, JSON script. Now, IAM policies, let's go a step further and try and understand like why when we log in, everything is by default deny. You may have played some kind of video games for the very first time. When you start playing the video game, you would have most of the access. Yes, you would probably have everything allowed, but in AWS we cannot do this, because if everything is allowed, everybody will be like a root user, and then it becomes risky. Anything can happen, right? So that's why everything is deny, and whatever is required, you can get access to that based on the root user or the company policy, whatever it is, that works in the best way forward. And from this, the concept of least privilege has come. What exactly is least privilege? Once you start for the very first time, everything is deny for you. Why is that? Because think about your family's Amazon Prime or Netflix account. Who is the account holder? Generally, it's the parent, right? Either father or mother. The account holder. Consider account holder as the root user. It is all powerful. It can change the payment method, payment card. It can delete the account. It can create child account. It can do anything as that person wants. Now, your younger cousin or your younger child profile has been created as a separate IAM user under the same account, and he can watch cartoons on repeat, but he cannot buy any new channels, or he cannot buy a pay-per-view movie, or cannot change the card details. He cannot delete the dad's profile. This is the access of a least privilege. Like, he should be given only what is required, right? And that is how the things work. When you start working in an organization, be it a startup or a multinational company, you will have the least access, only probably the read accesses or the minimum write accesses only for your project or only for a group of people, because the company wants to survive. They don't want to take risk. Okay, you have done something and then you are apologizing. Okay, I've done something by mistake. So that is how the world works. Okay, I hope I'm able to make things clear for you guys till now. So I talked about this Prime account. Uh, you can see this slide for better understanding. Moving on, what are the benefits of root account? We have already seen that the root account is like the main person of the Amazon Prime account or Netflix account that we get, they are able to manage everything in the IAM related to users. They are able to manage the billing. They are able to manage all the AWS resources. So that's the benefit of being root account. Let's move on. This is also a analogous example of house key versus hotel card. Um, so there's a concept of permanent access key. When you create a user account, um, you get a access key which you need to store for the very first time. This happens when you create a root account, and if you lose it, you lose all the credentials, and there's no way to recover a root account that way. So it says that you should always have that handy or copied in your systems. And IAM Identity Center is the place wherein you can have temporary credentials created, and it gets auto expired after some time. So consider it as one is a permanent key and the other one is a temporary hotel key card that we get once we go to a hotel for a day or two or probably a week, and then we return it to back to the correct user. So that is what we have. I hope I'm making sense. Can I get a thumbs up from people who are still on the call? Because right now I'm not able to hear anything in from anybody, so I'm not even sure how many people are listening to me. With just a thumbs up, I would be happy to know that at least there are audiences who is listening to me. So I would request on the comments, please provide me with a thumbs up. अच्छा थोड़ी सी हिंदी यूज कर दो. Okay. I'm so sorry. Yes, I can do Hindi plus English both. So thanks, guys. Thanks for the thumbs up. Let me try. I'm not very good on camera with only Hindi, so मैं try करता हूँ कि मैं थोड़ा सा हिंदी plus English में बात करूँ. Probably I will be able to connect more with you guys as well. Oh, good to know कि इतने लोग सुन रहे हैं मुझे अभी तक. Now, the concept of MFA. What is MFA? Can anybody type without Googling? और किसी को ये भी पता है कि MFA को दूसरा नाम क्या है? MFA का दूसरा नाम क्या है? Yes, MFA stands for, the answer is correct, multi-factor authentication. MFA का दूसरा नाम is also Aries XU. You have written it correctly. It is 2FA. And it is not just 2FA. Nowadays, there is 3FA as well. So it is, yes, MFA is multi-factor authentication. You would have seen, आपने देखा होगा जब मैं AWS अकाउंट पे लॉगिन कर रहा था, तो मैंने यूजर नेम डाला था, पासवर्ड डाला था, और उसके बाद थोड़ा वेट करके आई हैड टू पुट इन some numbers or a digits, right? वो क्या था? Basically, MFAs are one level ahead, एक level ऊपर का security feature है. So suppose आप I'm sure HDFC या बैंक, कोई भी बैंक अकाउंट आप खोलते होंगे, right? अपने नेट बैंकिंग अकाउंट से जाके. I'm talking only about browser because phone पे तो आप लोग थंब का impression डाल के ओपन कर लेते होंगे most of the time, या फिर OTP डाल के. But let's talk about कि suppose you are opening a net banking account on your browser. So you enter a username, then you enter your password, then you get one-time password on your mobile phone. Why is that required? That is required क्योंकि कल को आपका पीसी हैक हो गया, या फिर आपका ब्राउजर हैक हो गया, या फिर लैपटॉप चोरी हो गया, एंड सपोज बाय वर्स्ट केस आपने अपने ब्राउजर में अगर अपना पासवर्ड सेव करके रखा है, तो इट विल बी अ मेस, राइट? यू कैन बी इन ट्रबल. वर्स्ट केस आपका फोन ही चोरी हो गया है, सो यू विल नॉट इवन बी गेटिंग द ओटीपी, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई इट इज सेड कि multi-factor authentication should always be enabled in any of the high security things that you are using, be it your bank account, be it your AWS account, be it your Twitter account, be it your Netflix account, because you never know कब कौन सा चीज आपका हैक हो जाए. Okay. So MFA is multi-factor authentication. We are already using it on a daily basis. आप लोग जब अपना बैंक अकाउंट ओपन करते हो, यूपीआई ओपन करते हो, या फिर जब आप जियो हॉटस्टार को अपने मोबाइल से लॉगिन देखते देखते अभी आपको मन कर रहा है कि आप टीवी पे जाके लॉगिन करें, तो वहां पे भी जब आप लॉगिन करते हो तो इट आस्क्स फॉर अ पासवर्ड, राइट? व्हाई डज इट आस्क फॉर अ पासवर्ड? व्हाई डजंट इट, sorry, it asks for a OTP. Why doesn't it directly log us into your machine? Because it wants to be more secure. One level of security should be more, and that's why we have this functionality of multi-factor authentication. Let me just try and show you how exactly I can enable it on the AWS account. So I was in IAM. So let's go to the user that I created, the Jugaad SRE, and go to security. If I go here, I can see this option multi-factor authentication, right? Assign MFA device. Assign MFA device. Let's just click on this, and I can name it anything. What should I name it? Let's just name MFA device itself. Okay. Now here there are multiple options. We can have passkey or security key. You can have authentication app, or you can have the hardware TOTP token. Now you can have anything, but the best way to have this is to have this authenticator app. If you have this passkey or security key, you will it will be very huge alphanumeric keys, और आपको इसको हमेशा सेव करके रखना पड़ेगा, या फिर अपने कहीं पे भी डिवाइस पे कॉपी करके रखना पड़ेगा. एंड देन एवरी टाइम जब भी आप इसको लॉगिन करोगे, यू विल हैव टू एंटर इट. It is considered not a great way because वो बहुत बड़ा होता है, then it's not very handy. This third option, hardware token, is again एक डिवाइस होता है जो आपको मिलता है और वो उसको आपको हर समय कैरी करना पड़ेगा, so it's not suggestible. The best way is to have this authenticator app. इसको जब आप लॉगिन करते हो तो you can I have the authenticator app. You can go to the Play Store or iOS Store and download it, और वहां पे जाके let's just click on this. Okay, it is asking me कि space नहीं हो सकता, तो let's just remove the space, and it is asking me to set up a device, show QR code. So if you just scan this QR code by downloading the authenticator app, you will be able to see something like this. I think you are able to see my screen, so you will be able to see that a 6-digit code will be generated on your machine. और यहाँ पे on the third point that you see, you will have to enter those 6-digit code here that is getting generated on the device. ये हर almost like 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute के interval पे the number gets refreshed and a new 6-digit number comes to your system. So first time आपको ये 2 बार enter करना पड़ेगा, and then you can add an MFA. So the next time जब आप login करोगे, so it will not just open via username password, it will also ask you for this 6-digit number that you have on your authenticator app, and that is one level extra security जो आपने अपने system पे लगा दिया है. Now आजकल 3FA भी आ गया है, which is the first level is password, the second level is OTP, and the third level is this authenticator. So which makes it much more secure, so that hackers अभी और भी ज्यादा स्मार्ट हो गए, तो हमें भी एक लेवल ऑफ सिक्योरिटी बढ़ाना पड़ गया. So this is what the MFA importance of MFA and how exactly it is to be done. Let's just move on. Now out of all this जितना भी मैंने बात किया है, even if you remember 2 things out of this, I think you will be able to make somebody understand what is security, what is IAM, and why exactly all this is required. And the 2 golden rules are, रूट अकाउंट जब भी आप क्रिएट करते हो, जो कि मेन अकाउंट होता है, उस पे हमेशा एमएफए होना चाहिए. नो एक्सक्यूजेस, नो कॉम्पनसेशन, नो, मतलब उस पे आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते, उस पे होना ही चाहिए. दैट्स द गोल्डन रूल. एंड द सेकेंड वन इज, whoever is part of user as a normal user, they should have the least user. So main account MFA enable, the other accounts should have least privileges, and that ways you will be able to start your cloud security journey on a better note. Let's just talk about the scenario wherein something had happened a couple of years back, right? It's like a story that I would like to share what happened, and how exactly that bothered an organization. So this was year, I think, 2019, wherein a company organization called as Capital One, right? Let me just grab a sip. So basically, there was this छोटी सी गलती की थी इस कंपनी ने, कि एक ओवर परमिशनड IAM रोल को बहुत सारे एक्सेसेस दे दिए थे. और उससे हुआ क्या कि अराउंड 106 मिलियन यूजर के कस्टमर रिकॉर्ड्स रातों रात गायब हो गए थे. सो बेसिकली व्हाट हैपेंड, कैपिटल वन करके जो कंपनी थी, उनमें हैड अ फायरवॉल, उनके सिस्टम में फायरवॉल लगा हुआ था. Now you may ask what exactly is a firewall. So again, consider it as a security layer. So that okay, if I have to explain you what exactly is a firewall, consider it as you have your own website, right? Not your own website, like you access Amazon, Facebook, or Google, anything, right? So suppose Google has lot many users logging into that machine right now. So it will able to auto scale, and then it will make all the users the website accessible. But what if there's a bot attack, like 5 lakh bots अचानक से machine पे login कर रहे हैं from the different virus or a malware that is sent to the system. There's a firewall that it will firewall layer that वो अचानक से उसको डिटेक्ट करेगा कि क्या ये सही में यूजर्स हैं, या फिर एक बॉट ऐसा अटैक है जो कि सिमिलर आईपी रेंज से सारे आईपीज आ रहे हैं, या फिर कोई सिमिलर रीजन से सारे आईपीज आ रही है अचानक से. वो the policies in the firewall will detect all this and start blocking the traffic that is not required to be on the system. So basically firewall का यही understanding है, for a simple understanding of you all. So Capital One जो कंपनी थी, उनके firewall लगी हुई थी, and that firewall का जो IAM role था, remember, right? It's a temporary firewall role is like a temporary badge, right? उस बैच में इट हैड टू मेनी परमिशंस रिटन ऑन इट, जो कि फायरवॉल में नहीं होना चाहिए था. अब उसके जो यूजर्स थे या फिर उसके जो डेवलपर थे, उसने कहीं ना कहीं गड़बड़ किया, विच पीपल फॉरगॉट टू क्रॉस चेक. तो बेसिकली हुआ कि इट्स लाइक हैंडिंग द बिल्डिंग गेट गार्ड को, गेट के गार्ड को बहुत सारा मास्टर की अगर आप दे दोगे या बहुत सारे एक्सेस बैच दे दोगे, तो वो तो क्या करेगा, सब घर जाके सब चोरी करना शुरू करेगा, राइट? एग्जैक्टली वही हुआ. किसी हैकर ने वो फायरवॉल के एक्सेसेस को रीड किया, एंड इट ट्रिग्ड द सिस्टम इनटू बेसिकली रिवील कि what are the temporary AWS credential for all the users. एंड बेसिकली जो विजिटर का बैच था, इन द सेंस कि जो पॉलिसीज में सारे जो यूजर के सारे क्रेडेंशियल्स थे, वो ऑलमोस्ट उस हैकर को हाथ लग गए. एंड उस हर यूजर के अंदर दे हैड एक्सेस टू मल्टीपल S3 buckets. सो वो S3 buckets में जाके दे कुड सी कि अच्छा द यूजर का ये डिटेल है, लाइक 106 मिलियन पीपल का डिटेल्स था, उनके एड्रेस थे, क्रेडिट स्कोर्स था, बैंक डिटेल्स था, एवरीथिंग वाज लॉस्ट इन फ्यू आवर्स. एंड कैपिटल वन का जो बिल था वो uh, it was huge overnight, and they had to pay a fine of almost $270 million and get it settled via court order. So why this happened? Because the firewall had a leak, which the person who had written that firewall policy or assigned a specific role to that firewall, that should not have happened, should not have got that sort of role, and that was exposed by a hacker. So again, if we go by that funda of least privilege, this kind of thing will never happen in any organization. That's why security is such an important feature, because हमें लग रहा है कि ये तो IAM ही है, हम बस एक यूजर ही क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, बट उस यूजर को अगर एक भी unnecessary access मिल गया ना, तो it's going to be a huge mess. A similar issue, I'll be quick this time. Similar issue happened for Uber as well in 2022. So basically, the attacker didn't even need a fancy hacking this time. The hacker did a social engineering. He went to an employee's account, then found that he had saved the admin credential inside the PowerShell app. Basically, हमें कभी कभार आदत होता है कि हम अपने जो स्क्रिप्ट्स लिखते हैं उसमें पासवर्ड को हार्ड कोड कर देते हैं, so that कि वो बार बार एंटर ना करना पड़े. And that is what somebody had done in their own script. And it's like leaving the spare keys on the doormat. Right, I have this. So if you keep the spare keys under the doormat, सबसे पहले चोर आपके घर में आएगा तो वो सबसे पहले डोरमैट उठा के देखेगा या फिर दरवाजे के ऊपर देखेगा कि आप चाबी रखे हो क्या. Never do that. Never hard code your passwords in any of the code that you write, be it your local machine or even for AWS. That way it is always risky. So this happened with Uber as well a few years back, and they also had to pay a lot of fine because they lost the access. This is another story that comes to my mind. It's not a story, it's a simple example that I can tell you that there's a IAM rule assumption, which is like giving a temporary access to a colleague. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. So assume that suppose an AWS employee or any employee or any manager is going on a leave, right? They send out an out of office reply that I'll not be available from this date to this date. Please contact XYZ person. जब मैं नहीं हूँ तो आप उसको contact करना. So similar thing may have happened. So the moment that manager went on leave, something of an issue occurred or कुछ फट गया, and then problem occurred and people started raising P1 issues. And a junior employee, let's assume Anna, she was available at that point of time, and she was supposed to look into that. But since she is a new employee or a junior employee, she may or may not have the required accesses to start looking into the issues. Now, the good thing जो उस manager ने किया था कि he didn't just send out of office notice, he also sent out the temporary credentials to Anna for the period when he was not available, because he knew kuch fatega, so she might not have all the accesses. So Anna had the accesses required, and she knew about it because she is working under that particular employee, right? So basically what I want to talk about, that the IAM rule assumption is a funda wherein you can give your temporary accesses. The accesses are time limited and it is fully auditable. Okay, you have given admin access to someone. Why have you given? You can give a justification. Okay, because there was an issue and I was not aware, I had provided this time limited accesses to Anna, and then Anna can go ahead and start doing work and probably complete. Now, there is a concept that this is time limited access. So if Anna is not able to solve the problem within that period, जब तक वो मैनेजर नहीं आ रहा है, तो एक्सेस चला जाएगा, even if she is not able to solve it. So that is what this temporary access जो कि आप किसी को भी दे सकते हो, that works. सो इट डजंट कंसिडर कि आपने काम खत्म किया है तभी आपका एक्सेस जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है। वो टाइम पे मिला है तो 9 से 6 अगर मिला तो उतना देर में आपका काम हो गया तो ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो वो चला जाएगा। सो यही है अबाउट टेम्पररी एक्सेस। Okay, last thing that I want to talk about today. दर्द हो गया तो बात कर लिया मैंने आज। So let's give you guys also some chance to talk and probably write some of the things. So let's just go to the next slide. So I'm going to be asking you some quick yes or no kind of question, जहाँ पे आपको सिर्फ allow या deny बोलना है, and you don't have to use the umpire's call. Direct आंसर बताना है आपको। So let's go to this. So whatever अभी तक हमने जो पढ़ा है उसके हिसाब से I will read out a question. I would want to see if you would allow or deny it. It's a very simple question. I would just want कि you can type on your chat. So the first scenario is if an intern wants a permanent production database admin access, what would you do? Can you type it out on the chat? Heavy था। अरे मैं बहुत सिंपल बताने की कोशिश किया, हेवी कैसे हो गया भाई? Okay, maybe I need to और simple words बोलना पड़ेगा। So intern wants permanent production database access. Yes, we will not allow him because intern will delete the entire database. So yeah, as per the least privilege, हम उसको deny करेंगे। Permanent access तो नहीं देंगे, temporary access दे सकते हैं। So the correct answer is deny. Next one, second question. Thank you. Second question. Lambda needs to read one specific S3 bucket only. Lambda needs to read one specific S3 bucket only. Would you allow or deny? Okay, yes means allow or deny? Shrey. Lambda needs to read one specific S3 bucket only. Yes, आप उसको जब तक अलाउ नहीं करोगे वो S3 bucket रीड नहीं कर सकता। और रीड, when we are talking about read, it's okay, हम उसको रीड एक्सेस दे सकते हैं। रीड में वो बंदा क्या कर सकता है, ज्यादा से ज्यादा रीड कर सकता है, पढ़ सकता है, देख सकता है, उसको डिलीट नहीं कर सकता, बिकॉज वो जब डिलीट करने जाएगा उसको आ जाएगा एक्सेस डिनाइड। So the correct answer is allow. Yes. So yes is allow and no is deny. Thank you. Okay, next one. अभी तक का हो गया। अभी नेक्स्ट थर्ड क्वेश्चन इज एक्सेस की हार्ड कोडेड इन अ पब्लिक गिटहब रिपोजिटरी। आप लोग गिटहब यूज करते होंगे, राइट? तो अगर उसमें आप एक्सेस की हम हार्ड कोड करके डाल सकते हैं क्या, सो दैट अगली बार हमको एंटर ना करना पड़े? इट्स लाइक ए टाइम सेविंग थिंग। तो आप बताओ, आप इसको अलाउ करोगे कि डिनाई करोगे? डिनाई करोगे, क्यों? अभी तक यही समझा, इतना बोल दिया मैंने। रीड इट अगेन। एक्सेस की हार्ड कोडेड इन पब्लिक गिटहब रिपोजिटरी। अभी आंसर्स आने बंद हो गए। See, I tricked you. It's actually deny, because you should never hard code anything. So don't go with what always you are listening, but see what is written and then stick to it. ऐसा होता है जब हम सर्टिफिकेशन एग्जाम देते हैं ना, तो we think something but we don't focus on the words that are written on your question. So always एक एक वर्ड को पकड़ो and never think कि आपको लगता है वो सही है। वो जो लगता है उस थॉट प्रोसेस को बंद करो और go with what the key words are written, so that you don't get tricked. I intentionally tricked. Play Russian roulette with him. If he wins, he will get database. So yeah, so don't get tricked. Read the each keyword, because even if you're preparing for certifications, this kind of thing will happen and you don't get confused. So obviously we will deny this. Third one, हम hard code कभी नहीं करेंगे access की, वरना हम कहीं के नहीं रहेंगे. Okay. Fourth one, new employee root login has no MFA. New employee's root login has no MFA. Allow or deny. It's again a tricky question. Think and then answer. New employee's root login has no MFA. Would you allow or deny? Okay, somebody is asking, it's an IAM, why root access? Now, again, this is a tricky question. Again, you may think, ki, Acha, how is the new employee getting a root access? But I'm not saying root access, I'm saying root login. So, the AWS system has the root access. It creates a new access account for a new employee. उस employee के लिए तो वो root account ही consider होगा, right? So, the question is, new employee's root login. न्यू एम्प्लॉय का रूट लॉगिन में एमएफए नहीं है तो तुम अलाउ करोगे कि डिनाई करोगे. ऑब्वियसली यू विल वांट टू अलाउ इट बिकॉज यू वांट दैट पर्सन टू आल्सो बी सिक्योर. सो रूट अकाउंट एंड रूट लॉगिन दोनों दो चीज है. सो read on that keyword and then answer. Otherwise, these kind of tricky questions will cost you marks when you go and prepare, give the certification exams. So root login and root account are two different scenarios. Okay. The second last one, monitoring tool checks server health every 5 minutes. ये आप allow करोगे कि deny करोगे? Fifth one, monitoring tool checks server health every 5 minutes. Let me open the YouTube on my phone because when I am going to the YouTube, I think आपका screen share नहीं हो पा रहा होगा. Okay, let me see. Monitoring tool checks server health every 5 minutes.
Shovid bhai, I can do this instead. I can show the comments on the stage itself. So you don't have to go back again and again.
Okay.
Like this.
No problem. So a lot of you, I think, have mentioned deny as well. I see more allow as well, but there are some denies as well. Just to make things clear, monitoring tool basically उनका काम होता है to monitor things or the health related and services का health कैसा है and किसी भी अकाउंट का हेल्थ कैसा है, कोई भी सीपीयू या मेमोरी या कोई भी चीज का हेल्थ कैसा है, उसको हेल्थ को मॉनिटरिंग टूल कीप्स मॉनिटरिंग एंड मेजरिंग एंड देन also informing, so send out an alert to the different users or the teams. तो उसको आप बोल रहे हो कि मॉनिटरिंग टूल अगर हर 5 मिनट पे हेल्थ चेकअप कर रहा है तो आप उसको डिनाई नहीं, आप उसको अलाउ करोगे बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट यू वांट. अगर आप हेल्थ अपडेट नहीं भेजोगे तो पीपल मे और मे नॉट बी एबल टू नो कि सिस्टम में कुछ गड़बड़ी है क्या. एंड दैट इज द कंसेप्ट ऑफ मॉनिटरिंग एंड ऑब्जर्वेबिलिटी, जो कि साइट रिलायबिलिटी इंजीनियरिंग का एक बहुत बड़ा कंसेप्ट है, मॉनिटरिंग एंड रिलायबिलिटी, जो कि probably we can talk about some other day. But yes, so monitor tool check आप हर 5 मिनट, 10 मिनट, 15 मिनट, हर 1 घंटे, हर 2 मिनट कभी भी कर सकते हो. You should allow it. And the last one is departing employees IAM user kept active just in case. तो इसको आप allow करोगे कि deny करोगे? जो एम्प्लॉय ऑफिस या कंपनी छोड़ के जा रहा है उनके आप उसके एक्सेस को उनको दे दोगे कि लो भाई आप जब भी जहां भी हो आप अपना एक्सेस अपने पास रखो, जब मन चाहे उसको यूज करते हो, या फिर यू वुड वांट टू टेल देम नो इट्स you are done from this organization, you can leave it. Somebody writes revenge time. Very good. So इसीलिए ऐसे ऐसे जो लोग होते हैं ना जो रिवेंज का सोचते हैं, उनका जाने के 10 दिन पहले या 1 महीने पहले ही सारा एक्सेस बंद हो जाता है, बिकॉज पीपल एंड कंपनीज डोंट वांट टू टेक रिस्क कि भाई ये बंदा तो बदला ले लेगा, हमने बहुत बुरा किया इसके साथ तो. So I hope you got it. I can say that almost 100% of you have got all the answers right. कुछ लोगों को मैंने trick किया, so they would have learned something new as well. So that's. Let me see if I'm done for the day और या भी कुछ और भी बचा है. जस्ट रिफ्रेश तो इंटरव्यू में अगर आप कभी भी आए व्हाट इज IAM और व्हाट इज AWS IAM सिक्योरिटी. सो तीन चीज हमेशा याद रखना. शेयर्ड रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मॉडल जो मैंने बोला था, बिल्ड अपार्टमेंट में सिर्फ आपका घर है तो सिर्फ आप ही उसके जिम्मेदार नहीं हो, आपके अपार्टमेंट ओनर भी जिम्मेदार है. यानी AWS इज ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्सिबल एज वेल एज द यूजर हु इज यूजिंग दैट अकाउंट. बोथ आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल. लीस्ट प्रिविलेज, यू शुड every user should have the least privilege. जब आप ओनर हो या फिर रूट यूजर हो, you will assign everybody the least user. और जब आप ओनर हो तो your house keys or your credentials, your account login password, everything you have to keep very safe. Use 2FA, MFA, 3FA, whatever you want. And it's not just limited to your AWS account. It is there for banks, WhatsApp chats, your Netflix accounts, and everything. So I hope this brushes up, and I think that's all we have for today. Let me just see if I want to talk anything else apart from this. The last thing that I want to do is, before you guys leave or have come back with questions, I'm here for answering your questions as well. What I want you guys to do is quickly take out your mobile phones and click your pictures with the session that we have had today. And how many of you are struggling to be regular on LinkedIn as well? If you are struggling, if you want to become a good creator, if you want to do a lot of content creation but आप नहीं कर पाते हो, I will tell you a secret, because आप developer हो, right? And if you're a developer, आज के डेट में just being technical doesn't help. You have to start to think about making your personal brand. और personal brand कैसे बनाओगे? The best way to do it is to start being active on LinkedIn. So I tell everybody who I get in touch with, be it freshers, experienced people, कि भाई आप जो कर रहे हो, जो भी कर रहे हो पढ़ाई से related, something relevant to the work, आप कोई event attend कर रहे हो, please go and post on LinkedIn. So I would again request you to go click a picture of this session, myself, yourself, and click this picture, update right now. Don't use AI. Pick 3 things or 1 thing or 2 things that you learned today. Write a post, be it a 3-line post. It's okay. Don't use AI. AI जब हम यूज करते हैं ना, इतने डिपेंडेंट हो जाते हैं AI पे कि we stop thinking, हमारा thinking capability कम हो जाता है. So just write about what you learned about from the previous session, what you learned about this. You can, if you want, you can tag me as well. Talk the previous speaker as well. Talk Hardik as well. Talk. Go and tag the AWS user group, Gujarat user group, and please go and post it right now. आप अगले 5 मिनट में पोस्ट करके यहाँ पे जो जो डन करेगा, आई विल probably whatever you say. I mean, I don't have anything right now in my mind, but I would want you guys, अगर आप better करना चाहते हो अपने life में, अपने career में, in terms of not just technical but personal branding as well, I would request you to do it right now. And with that, I am open for questions. Ask me anything. Over to you guys. So Hardik, are you going to tell me the questions, or shall I go to the LinkedIn page? Go to the YouTube page.
You can go to the YouTube page, as currently there are no questions I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some people saying anything promise.
Sorry?
There are some people saying, like you mentioned about anything, right? So they are asking
Anything related to content, AWS and LinkedIn content. Yes. Yes, and you can search me on LinkedIn with my name, Shobit Verma. And I am happy to connect with you guys as well. सो जो लिंक्डइन पे एटलीस्ट डालेगा, मुझे ये तो पता चलेगा कि व्हाट डिड दे लर्न और व्हाट डिड दे लाइक अबाउट द सेशन. एंड that's fine. If you're wanting to make personal brand, it's a good learning and good start. If you're already active, that's again a good thing to have. I will stop sharing now, and I will see. Yeah, I'm also started a content making content on Instagram. So this is my similar handle. You can go to the Instagram and search for the Jugaad SRE. There, I am already active on Instagram with around 40,000 followers, and the handle is the Jugaad guy. So I used to make techno tech infotainment content, technical and informational content till last year. I have slightly slowed down and getting more into technical. So that's how I launched the Jugaad SRE. So yeah, I can guide you on a lot of things if you connect with me. And yes, I if I have to just talk about one more thing, that how exactly I got in touch with the AWS community. I would say this happened last year. Last year, um, I I have been using AWS for almost 2017 and 18, but I never knew, or I was not aware that there are communities and there are people who talk about the AWS services and AWS sessions, and so much things are happening around AWS. I only knew that I was working on AWS and I had to clear certifications and all. And last year I got invite for one of the sessions, and thank you, Shrey, for posting it. Really appreciate it, and I'll check and I'll connect with you as well. So last year, I got an invite for AWS Summit in Mumbai, and that's where my starting point happened, and that's where I got to know, okay, there is a community in almost every city of India. And I went back to Pune. I'm from Pune, by the way. I came back to Pune and I searched for I got to know that there's AWS community in Pune as well, and I joined the AWS community. And from there, I never looked back. Earlier, I was a attendee just like you guys, but then I kept on attending it, and I showed up every moment. I got in touch with the organizers, and I showed my willingness to be part of your community as a organizer. And since then, almost like 10 months now, I am part of AWS user group as a volunteer. I have been part of almost all the events, backstage, working and doing things. I have given a lot of sessions as a speaker also in the cloud clubs. Last year I did, this year also I did. I have done this kind of sessions as well, the one that I'm doing right now. So basically what happened, if you start showing up, आप जैसे जैसे शो अप होना स्टार्ट करते हो, यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग मोर चांस टू शो अप एज वेल. सो जो आप करना चाहते हो, वो आप सिर्फ सोचोगे कि मैं हो नहीं रहा है इसलिए नहीं करूंगा तो नहीं होगा. अगर आप कुछ करना चाहते हो तो वो करना शुरू करो, तब जाके वो होना शुरू होगा. सो दैट इज द वे फॉरवर्ड. लाइफ में अगर कुछ भी चाहिए तो बिलीव दैट यू आर ऑलरेडी हैविंग इट, देन यू विल हैव इट. So that's the secret and that's the mantra. And yeah, and that's how I'm here today in front of you guys. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your time, and lovely to connect with you guys. Over to you, Hardik.
As Shobit sir has mentioned, I started being part of community in AWS from like December and all the time. And because of AWS community, I was able to meet him and the people from Pune as well. So it was
Yeah.
something that I will never forget. So we have made some connections. And
Yes,
like
definitely.
today we are having some sessions, we are making that connection as well. So I would recommend all of you to join online or some offline sessions as well. So we will meet new people. And trust me, community helps a lot. I have been part of
Mhm.
community since like last 5 years, so I know that better than others.
Yeah, nice. I can see one question here. Give some tips of clearing AWS CCP certification. Okay. Tips is basically you need to have your basics clear. जितना डिटेल में मैंने आपको आज एक सर्विस समझाया, यू डोंट हैव टू एक्चुअली डू इट ऑल द टाइम, बट as you're learning, don't learn just to clear certifications. Learn to remember it throughout your life. तो ऐसा आप समझोगे अगर ना कंसेप्ट, तो वो हमेशा आपके साथ रहेगा. अगर आप उसको रट के जाओगे ना, तो आज कल एग्जाम क्लियर होगा, परसों आप भूल जाओगे. सो ऑलवेज क्लियर द कंसेप्ट, एंड फॉर क्लियरिंग द कंसेप्ट डिस्कस व्हाट यू आर लर्निंग विथ योर पियर्स. जब आप डिस्कस करते हो ना, जब आप उसको पढ़ते हो, जब आप उसको बोलते हो, जब आप उसको रिकॉर्ड करते हो, that is when it stays with you. So again, coming back to learning as well, अगर आप पर्सनल ब्रांड बना रहे हो, और पर्सनल ब्रांड क्यों जरूरी है मैंने अभी बताया आपको. सिर्फ टेक्निकल होने से आज के डेट में नहीं बनता है काम, जॉब नहीं मिलता आसानी से. अगर आप पर्सनल ब्रांड है, तो यू आर इनवाइटेड टू मल्टीपल जॉब्स. यू आर कॉल्ड बिकॉज पीपल नो कि आप बहुत टेक्निकल भी हो और बहुत आपको नॉलेज भी है. तो अगेन डिस्कस, मेक वीडियोस. जो आप कंसेप्ट सीखे हो उसको आप 3 मिनट तक कैमरे के सामने, आईने के सामने बोल पा रहे हो कि नहीं, वो 10 बार करोगे ना, तो 11वीं बार अपने आप हो जाएगा. सो दिस इज वन टिप. और सर्टिफिकेशन क्लियर करने का सिंपल टेक्निक है कि, एज आई सेड, रीड ईच वर्ड, बिकॉज एवरी वर्ड दैट यू रीड टेल्स यू ओके, ये आंसर भी हो सकता है, ये आंसर भी हो सकता है, ये आंसर हो सकता है. तो वो हमें मल्टीपल लूप में नहीं जाना है. वी हैव टू कंसिडर ईच वर्ड एंड ट्राई एंड डू एलिमिनेशन कि अच्छा ये आंसर नहीं होगा, देन लेट मी पिक द अदर 3. इस 3 में से कौन सा नहीं होगा, ये देन यू रिमूव इट, एंड देन यू चूज ओके either of these two, which is more closest to the answer that I need. So it's like a 50-50 game that you're going to play. So you do use your knowledge to eliminate the answers. For some reason I am unable to mention him. Okay, I don't know.
Maybe he's talking about offline events, like I was talking about some offline events. So if you are from Ahmedabad, there's one session on 22nd August, and if there are others, you can like join the meetup pages of all the
Yeah.
AWS user groups and AWS student builder groups as well.
आप जिस शहर से भी हो, join the meetup.com, download the app, or on the website, go to the specific AWS account, go to meetup.com. वहाँ पे AWS सर्च करोगे तो जितने भी AWS यूजर ग्रुप्स होंगे आपके शहर में या दूसरे शहर में भी आपको दिख जाएगा, एंड यू कैन ज्वाइन दैट. वहाँ पे आपको इवेंट का इंफॉर्मेशन आते रहता है. आई पर्सनली ट्रैवल अ लॉट, और मैं जब भी जिस शहर में जाता हूँ, आई ट्राई एंड फाइंड कि कौन सा इवेंट कहाँ हो रहा है. So I went to Singapore last month, and वहाँ पे there was one Grafana का event happening, and it was co-partnered with AWS itself. And if you have attended, I think yesterday's session was done by Praful, right? Yesterday or day before yesterday.
Yep, day before yesterday.
So Praful was available in Singapore in that Grafana plus AWS account, and I got to meet him. And 3 days, and 3-4 days back, also I had met him in Mumbai as well. So you never know कि कौन से event पे आप जा रहे हो और कहाँ पे कौन मिल जाए, and then what sort of learning you might have. So do offline, online, both. Even while traveling, if you are interested to learn, if you are interested to make connections, you should probably go ahead and do that sort of thing as well. So अगर आप पुणे से हो, let's connect, let's meet, and I'm happy to share any more information if you want. And yeah, hit me up on social media as well. I'm very much active there as well. I don't see any more questions, so I'm assuming आपको इतना clear हो गया है सारे कुछ concept कि आपके पास कोई question नहीं है. But that's good to know. It's already too late on a Saturday night. I hope you have a good time and great weekend.
And thank you so much, Sovit sir, for attending this. And it's like today's last day, and still there are people joining us. So like we are happy for that as well. And now we won't take
Yeah.
you much of your time. So like we'll go with the attendance and the further things about how you are going to get your resources and your certifications. And there was one question about CCP practice. So if you are joining 7 of the sessions, your fundamentals will be clear with hands-on. And we are also working on the resources as well. It will be uploaded soon. So now time for the attendance, guys. Just give me a moment.
Oh, तुमने attendance last में करके रखा है, बेचारे लोग.
ना actually normally we do it after the like पहला session खत्म होता है उसके बाद, but आज थोड़ा रहेगा.
Okay, somebody is asking a repeated question. How do I start my cloud journey? You have already started. आपने ये session attend कर दिया, आपका cloud journey start हो गया है. Please go onto LinkedIn and post कि आपने क्या सीखा, and that is how your journey started. और अगर basic आपको जानना है तो go to your browser and type AWS documents. Uh, and there will be huge number of documents. सबसे पहले जाके AWS का account बनाओ, उसमें EC2, S3, IAM ये सब basic services के बारे में पढ़ना शुरू करो. कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा तो यूट्यूब पे वीडियोस देख लो. आई डोंट इवन सजेस्ट कि आप जाके यूडेमी में कोर्स खरीदो. यूट्यूब में सब कुछ अवेलेबल है. सो मेक यूज ऑफ दोस थिंग्स एंड दैट्स हाउ यू स्टार्ट योर क्लाउड जर्नी.
And yes, guys, I'm going to talk about the certificate as well. So let everyone complete their attendance first.
How are you taking the attendance?
Basically, we are here prepared like a QR code, and
Okay.
everyone fill their details in the form.
Okay.
So it's basically to track how many active people are there. So in case if they need any help, we can reach out to them.
Nice. Wow, my LinkedIn network has increased.
By the way, there's one question, Shobit bhai.
Yeah.
There's a one guy who is in second year and he's preparing for CCNA. So any tips and suggestion for him?
CCNA. I remember when I was in college, like I was in final year, and when I passed out, there were a lot of guys doing CCNA at that point of time, and they had joined Tata Telecom and other organizations as well. But eventually, nowadays, they are also working on AWS services and AWS uh, cloud department. So CCNA, obviously you have to do a course. You are still in second year, so too early for you. But if you can, probably you can go ahead and do the certification while you are doing your engineering. But अगर आपको ज़्यादा load नहीं लेना तो wait for completion of your engineering and then you can do CCNA. I think it's a 3 to 6 months or probably 1 year का course and then you get placed if you're doing it from a better organization or better company. But I see that a lot of people don't stick to uh, the core CCNA part companies and they jump to the IT. So अगर आप decide कर लियो आपको तुरंत IT में नहीं आना है, then you should go for CCNA. बट अगर आपको इवेंचुअली आईटी में ही जाना तो फिर सीसीएनए करने का कोई मतलब नहीं है. दैट्स व्हाट आई फील एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई सजेस्ट.
And guys, I know so many of you are asking about the first day attendance and all the things. Don't worry about the attendance. I know many of the people are not able to join live. Okay, so there are many people who are watching the videos after the sessions are ended. So don't worry about the attendance. We have another QR code. Let me share that with you. That is what it matters because in that form we are going to see. Just give me a moment and let me share the screen. Okay, so this one is for the certification. Just give me a moment. The reason we are providing this QR code is that many of you still didn't tag us. So there are so many posts remaining that we don't know you guys have posted it. So with the QR code, we would be able to see that how many of you have posted all the things. And as we mentioned, one AWS Builder Center article about the 7 days experience, and one LinkedIn post. Once you complete it, we will send you the certifications. It will take some time, so please have some patience. It will be delivered in your emails.
I see one or two more questions. Shrey Patil asking what you say for technical consult. I think you asked the same question in the previous session as well. What do you want to know about technical consultant? The thing that I did right now was a technical consulting, right? It's about consulting is basically sharing your knowledge जो आप जानते हो with someone to solve a specific problem. So if it's a technical work, you are a technical consultant. If you're doing it a non-technical, you're a non-technical consultant. So basically कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम जो आप सॉल्व कर रहे हो यूजिंग योर टेक्निकल नॉलेज, दैट इज एक्ट एज टेक्निकल कंसल्टेंट. और अगर आप जॉब्स के पर्सपेक्टिव में बात कर रहे हो तो इट्स अ पोजीशन बेसिकली जो कि आप once you achieve 8-10 years of experience, people reach out to you based again on your personal brand. So I'm coming back to every time personal brand. आज के डेट में if you are a fresher, हमारे टाइम में when I was starting out back in 2010, it was easy to get a job because all we had to do was learn Java, Python, and basics and some of the communication skills, and it was easy to get a job. Right now, even if you are 5 or 10 certifications you have done, and but if you are not able to make somebody understand the concepts, sometimes if you, even if you're able to make somebody understand the concepts, अगर उनके पास requirement नहीं है तो they don't take you. But अगर आपका personal brand अच्छा है, कंपनी को ऐसा लग रहा है कि आपको हायर करने से उनका वैल्यू बढ़ेगा ना, that's how you start, that's why you start making your personal brand. So again, every time I'm coming back to personal brand, it makes life easy. People reach out to you, you don't have to reach out to the companies and the people. So that's how technical consultants also work in senior organizations. Srinath is saying he has 35 years of experience in, wow, in training. Oh, great, sir. I hope I was able to do justice because I have less than half, less than half, क्या, 1/4 भी experience नहीं है मेरे को teaching का, but I am just sharing what I know. What to do here? Any AWS Builder Center blog post? Okay.
Okay, let me answer you about those things. So basically, you have to share about like what you learned from day 1 to day 7. And the reason you are asking for writing into AWS Builder Center blog is that, as in previous Gunnar sir mentioned, right? If you write more, you will be able to understand technical terms more betterly. So that is one of the reasons that we are asking for you guys to write it down. And the thing is simple. We would suggest you to write it in your own words. We are not looking for the perfections. We are just looking for what you understand from the sessions. Yep, there is only one article. You can write down like from like day 1 summary, day 2 summary, day 3 summary. And don't worry, give me some time. Article is like blog, AWS Builder Center blog, basically. And I'm going to write some blog post as well, as I'm a student like all of you guys, so you guys can also understand that I was in college as well. So I didn't get the time to write any blog during the sessions. And for the resources, up to day 4 when Professor was there, the Git book and blogs are ready. Now tomorrow is a Sunday, so we are going to work on the rest of the days, and we will share everything onto the AWS Builder Center. And we are collecting the emails from the attendance, so we are going to send that as well. So if you guys still have any questions, please let us know. uh, for certification, like हम लोगों ने एक वीक रखा है. Like आज, let me see which date I had. Just give me a moment. Okay, so like we have till 16th July. So we are giving you 5 days. So aram se you guys can take your time and write the blog and put an social media post. And additionally, if you want to win any kind of swags, you can join my AWS Student Builder groups at BVM page. I have hosted one competition there as well. But if you guys are willing to join, maybe if you write a better blog, For the first condition, I was looking for the people in Gujarat because of the logistic. But if many more people are interested, I will deliver it to the outside Gujarat as well. So, guys, that's it from our side. And I just can't believe how amazing it was for the last 7 days. You guys joined for every single day, and we are so much happy for that. And I hope you guys are excited for the next upcoming sessions as well that we are planning.
I just want to add one thing. I'm not sure if you guys have already discussed, but I think till for next 1 or 2 months or probably 45 days, if you are doing any certification, which is the basic AWS certification, you are getting 50% off on that. So try and make use of that. There is a go and Google it. There is a code 50% off code running for all the basic AWS certification, not the associate level, but the basic both cloud practitioner as well as the AI practitioner. So make use of that. And once you are able to clear, you get I think some off or probably free certification in the next attempt as well. So it's a win-win for you guys as well. So try and make the benefit of that.
Yes, actually, I remembered. It's from Pearson View. You have to buy
Yeah,
50% of AI voucher. If you pass the certification exam of AI, then you will get free certification for CCP as well.
yeah.
So that is one of the things.
Chalo
Resources will
guys,
be
thank
on
you
the
very
AWS.
much.
Okay, okay.
I'll
Bye
take a
bye, Sobit
leave
Bhaiya.
and thank you so much for your time and let me know फिर से कुछ हो तो I'm happy to be part of this
Paka,
again.
paka, sure. Have a great day, Sobit Bhaiya.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
Bye bye. Yes, as per the resources, it will be available on the AWS Builder Center as well. And we are going to send it to you in the mails as well. And thank you so much, Srinath sir, for joining us. Like, we are still students and we are trying to make sure that everyone can learn from the experiences. And if you have any feedback for us, please let us know. And I'm going to post it the link about the certification into the AWS Builder Center as well. And we have collected your emails as well, so we will reach out to you on that as well. But we'll be doing that tomorrow. So have a great day, everyone, and I hope we are meeting all of you again for the new sessions as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye bye.